Welcome back, Jack. Patty from Georgia has been kind enough to stick with us over the break, and we're going to bring her back right now. Patty, are you still with me?
Yes.
All right. All right, good. I appreciate your patience. So let me line this up for you. But remember, the webinar that I did, there's only so much I can say in 3 minutes, right? I did an entire hour-long webinar on this subject. You need to watch it and check it out. Okay, so oxidative damage makes things decay, get old, and die. Food goes bad because of oxidative damage. Fruit gets moldy and gets rotten because of oxidative damage. Iron turns to rust because of oxidative damage. Oxidative damage is everywhere all the time. It's happening in your body right now. And we believe that one of the mechanisms that leads to the formation of fibrocystic tumors in the breast is too much oxidative damage in the body. Now, in some people, oxidative damage goes to the breast. In some people, it goes to the kidney. In some people, it goes to the right knee. In some people, it goes to the left shoulder. Nobody really knows why it goes here, there, or anywhere in different people, but it's the same mechanism. It's oxidative stress, oxidative damage. Your body has a fire department that it uses to handle oxidative stress and to put the fires out before tissue becomes destroyed. So one of the major players in your body's fire department is the trace mineral selenium. Selenium, you need to be taking selenium, and I'll tell you how much in just a second. In addition to selenium, it would be prudent for you to ingest food and nutritional supplements and beverages which are high in antioxidants.
Okay.
Antioxidants, right, are measured by their ORAC score, O-R-A-C. Your recommendation would be 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day. And I don't care how you do that. So what's your current body weight, Patty? How much do you weigh right now?
170.
Okay, so here's what I would do for 3 months as an aggressive nutrition program to support and promote healthy breast tissue, okay? I would get 2 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquids. The name of the product is called the Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid. I want you to get 2 of those. 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, S like Sam, E, L like Larry, E, N like Nancy, I, U, M. 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium. And if there's still money left in the bank after that, 4 bottles of something called Z Radical. Z Radical. Z like zebra, radical. If you can't afford 4 bottles, get 3. If you can't afford 3, get 2. If you can't afford 2, get 1. If you can't afford any, don't get it. But you need at least 1 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid and 4 bottles of selenium. You need at least 1 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid and 4 bottles of selenium. And of course, you, me, and everybody else are also advised, please, to stop eating the 10 bad foods. And interestingly enough, we are of the strong opinion that one of the leading contributors of oxidative stress to the human body, wait for it, olive oil. So we don't recommend you use any oil whatsoever. Eliminate all oils. Oils in a bottle are considered one of the 10 bad foods. So even though it might be kind of a hard concept to wrap your head around, we believe that oil in a bottle is one of the major contributors of free radicals, which cause oxidative stress to the body. So our advice, stop eating all oils completely. There's 9 other bad foods you need to stop. You can get that list for free on my website. So that's what I would do, right? I would take those supplements, I'd alter your diet, and I do it for 90 days, 3 months in a row. And remember, Patty, that from the holistic point of view, everything is connected in the human body. So even though, right, we are attempting here to support and promote healthy breast tissue, if you choose to go with this program, then look to see, while you're on the program, what happens to everything else, right? Your mood, your energy, your sleep, your appetite, your bowel movements, your menstrual cycle, your sex drive, everything. because this is a fundamentally holistic program. The intention here is to have positive impacts across the board because that's how holistic medicine works. And remember, we want to see results. We want to see something positive happen in the first 4 weeks. So give it a run. Give me a call back whenever you feel so inclined and tell me how you're doing with your progress.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Glidden.
All right, Patty, I appreciate your patience, appreciate your trust. Thank you very much for the phone call. Canada is up next. Someone's allergic to the sun. Oh, my God. Do you know what that means? We have a vampire with us right now, a vampire. Daniel from Canada. So, yeah, vampire? I did not know this. That's my German vampire. That's my Nazi vampire. So, you cannot go out into the sun, yeah? What's going on, Daniel? It's the second hour, so Dr. Glidden gets a little loopy. Bear with me. Appreciate the call. How can I help?
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Very good impression there. I don't know. She told me that she has problem with the sun. When she goes to the sun, she gets rashes and itching, and she cannot go in the sun. And she's diabetic, and she also had a facial paralysis.
Oh, yeah. Bell's palsy?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you want to watch the webinar that I did as an insider on ringing in the ears, because it's the same mechanism that causes facial paralysis that causes ringing in the ears, we believe. This is our belief. It's the same mechanism. It's osteoporosis of the skull. I had Bell's palsy years ago when I was in my early 20s, way before I knew anything about any of this, and I suffered needlessly for a long time because of it. So if there wasn't a stroke involved, then facial paralysis most of the time is caused by osteoporosis of the skull, so she would need bone and joint support, right? Yeah. With blood sugar issues, type 1 or type 2 diabetics, she needs blood sugar support. That's the sweeties. And this reaction to the sun, she needs, of course, skin support. I think her body's trying to turn itself into a plant. I think that the lack of nutrition has shifted the metabolism of her body. I think that she doesn't have enough copper in her body and that the hemoglobin is starting to get funny. Honestly, I'm not being tongue-in-cheek here. I think that her body is starting to adapt differently to the stress of life because of lack of nutrition. So, the recommendation here is, number 1, eliminate the 10 bad foods. Number 2, eliminate any extracurricular sugar. So for 90 days, I would have her avoid fruit juice, fruit leather, honey, maple syrup, agave. And I would just go carbohydrate clean, man. I wouldn't have any carbos, even if they're gluten-free. Now, a lot of people can't do that, but that's my recommendation for her. Go carbohydrate-free for 90 days. Plus, of course...
Not even vegetables, huh?
Yeah, meat, protein, eggs, fish, chicken. Well, no, she can have vegetables. I misunderstood you. She can have vegetables.
Cooked vegetables, okay.
Cooked vegetables, no problem. But no grains, okay. No rice.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yeah, okay, good. So... I think the least expensive program for her would be 1 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid, 2 selenium, 1 sweeties per 100 pounds of body weight per month. You might want to throw in some plant-derived minerals as well. A bottle or 2 of the plant-derived minerals, that would be a good thing to do in her case. Or you could just give the Cal Toddy instead of the plant-derived minerals. That would be probably a better thing now that I think it through. So give her 1 extra bottle of Cal Toddy a month and see what happens. And remember, right, that people that have this many things going on in their body, right? She has a number of things going on. It's kind of like her body is snowballing out of control, and the body is trying to adapt and to do many different things, and it just doesn't have any reserves to do it, right? It's fighting for its life, and things are going a little haywire here. And so because this is such a comprehensive breakdown, she's going to need to be on this program for 6 months before she judges it up or down. And please counsel her to be aware of, her mood, her energy, her appetite, her sleep. And what I would have people like this do is write down all of her symptoms on, like a piece of legal paper. Write down all of her symptoms on one side. And then once a week, she puts a little date, makes a different column for each week, and puts a date at the top of each column. And once a week, she checks in with herself and gives each of those symptoms a grade. 10 being shoot me now, and 0 being completely gone. Because once this program kicks in, because she has so many things that are wrong with her, it's entirely possible that she will forget the things that she's recovered from. And this happens all the time. But if she has a running list of her symptoms, she's less likely to do that, and she's more likely to maintain the discipline to the glorious end here. And, this is going to be a long haul for her, but we judge the effectiveness of the program by small victories, every couple of weeks. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, perfect sense. Yeah, thank you so much. I tell people to write down how they feel, because after they forget,
I know they do. And I just be aware, Daniel, I wouldn't be around this woman's house when it's a full moon after midnight, because I think she's a vampire. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you. Vampires are among us, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by your neighborhood MD. With conventional medicine, when conventional medicine goes bad, what do we get? Vampire. Stick around. So much more to come. Appreciate your tuning in and turning on. Vampires amongst us, what next? Werewolves? Sasquatch? Oh my God. What's the world coming to? Robin in Charlotte, North Carolina is up next. Hey, Robin, thanks for the call. You are live.
Is that you?
Hey, Dr. Glidden, how are you?
Well, I'm good, but I'll get better, God willing, and the creek don't rise. What's going on in Charlotte?
Well, we miss you here. I have a guest on the line from Oregon who wanted to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay, well, I'm sitting down, so let me have it.
Okay. Miss Nancy?
Okay, Robin, tell them what it is. It's thickening of the heart.
Oh, yeah, the thickening of the heart muscle. Which chamber of the heart has thickened?
Oh, I don't know.
All right. Did you? That's interesting, right? They're not going to tell you. So they're just going to, you have thickening of the heart. You have thickening of the heart. Be very afraid. Be very afraid. So what did they recommend that you do?
Well, what they did to my husband, he is 60 years old, and we just discovered it a few years ago from a heart rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
From one of the physicians. He's in the operating engineers down here in Oregon, and he has to have a physical every year to keep his license. And they detected a heart murmur about 3 years ago.
Yep.
So they sent him to the doctors, and that's what they told him, that he had that cardio, however you say it. And the last test he had, and they didn't even give him any numbers, they just said it's quite a bit thicker. So they put him on a blood pressure pill to slow down his heartbeat. But he's so tired, and he works on a tower crane, and he has to walk up 130 feet every day. So he's very tired. So I want to know what to get him on, because it doesn't look good, because it's gotten thicker in just 3 years.
Well, this is called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and this illness actually, does that sound familiar? Did they say it's hypertrophic cardiomyopathy?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a really interesting history with this illness. This illness was actually discovered in pre-World War II Germany, Because remember, back in those days, the Nazis were all about creating the master race, right? And they were really into athletics and, doing lots of research and discovery around how to make the human body function better athletically, right? They were like, this was a big field of discovery for them.
Okay.
And the German scientists, doctors, discovered that by a gigantic statistical margin, members of the population who had enlarged hearts were athletes. They actually called it athlete's heart before they started calling it cardiomyopathy. The original term for this diagnostically was called athlete's heart, because people who were, athletically oriented, people that were athletes for a living, right? They would get this condition way more than the average Joe on the street. They also discovered, interestingly enough, that it was caused by a deficiency in the trace mineral selenium.
Okay.
So now, right, there are many nutrient deficiencies that the average person on the street has some type of a grasp of, like, for instance, iron deficient anemia, right? That's an iron deficiency. Rickets, right, or is a calcium and vitamin D deficiency, right? A vitamin D deficiency and so forth and so on. Well, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is selenium deficiency, period. Your husband's deficient in selenium, and the MDs don't know this, and this is a problem, because this is a really relatively easy thing to get on the other side of. And, they figured out how to fix this in pre-World War II Germany. So, which begs the question, well, why do I know this and your medical doctor doesn't know this, right? So
Amen.
That's a whole nother subject. This is why I have a job. So the recommendation here is we have to, of course, give his body selenium, right? But if we just did that, we wouldn't get as good results as we would if we gave his body selenium and the cofactors that the body needs to absorb and metabolize and use the selenium, right? It's kind of like, if you're making a cake, you don't just use flour. Right. You need the egg and the yeast and the sugar and the water and the milk and the cream and the butter. You need all this stuff, right? So the recommendation here to support and promote healthy cardiovascular function in your husband would be, how much does he weigh, by the way?
About 190 something.
Oh, that's easy then. So we would do 2 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquids, 2 of those. Healthy Body Start Pack liquids, 2 of those.
You got it, Robin? Okay.
4 bottles of selenium. 4 bottles of selenium. 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules a month, and that's it. And I would consult a pharmacist and wean him off of the blood pressure medication immediately, because it's going to cause more harm than it's going to help, in my clinical opinion.
Okay,
plus,
how do I
eliminate the 10 bad... Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here. Join the live chat, thedrgliddenshow.tv. Now listen, if you're listening to us for the first time or the second time or the third time, and you like what we are talking about, and you are listening on terrestrial radio, then listen during the commercial breaks and call the number that the radio station gives out, because there are longevity representatives on the other end of that line waiting to take your call, answer your questions, and get you started with longevity. If a friend of yours told you about this radio program and you like what you hear, then get with them in order to get hooked up with longevity. And if you found me all by yourself and you're interested in what we have to talk about, the number to call, 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. Let's go back to Robin in Charlotte and her guest from Oregon. Robin, what's your guest's name? I forgot. Come in, Robin.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Tell me your guest's name again.
Nancy.
Okay, Nancy. So, what's the? Do you have a follow-up question there, Nancy?
Yes. My husband read, because he read all about it on the internet, and he said taking too much selenium can kill you.
He's
so
wrong.
How much selenium should he be taking every day?
Well, look, here's the problem, okay? And, I don't know how to be politically correct about this.
Okay.
But, okay, so here's the deal. If your husband had a bad tooth, he probably wouldn't go to the Internet to try to figure out how to fix it himself. He would, how to give himself his own root canal and order his own root canal tools from the Internet, and he wouldn't do that. But when it comes to chronic health conditions, people have no problem whatsoever trying to figure it out themselves. When a better idea for him, or for anybody else, is to go to a physician, licensed and regulated, whose job it is to understand the ins and outs of medical nutrition. And, the only reason that people don't do that is because they don't know that we exist, and even if they do know we exist, they don't know who we are, and they look down their noses at us because the MDs have convinced them that I'm a quack. So, the person that wrote the book on selenium is Gerhard Schrauzer. Gerhard Schrauzer is a close personal friend of the founder of Youngevity, Dr. Joel Wallach. Gerhard Schrauzer's office is at Youngevity International Headquarters in San Diego. Gerhard Schrauzer was the one that proved that selenium is, in fact, an essential nutrient. And you're right, you can overdose selenium, but you can also overdose water. You can also overdose
let me just ask
sunlight.
You real quick. Robin wrote down all the stuff you said. Is all that 4 bottles of selenium and all those other bottles, is that supposed to be all in the first month to take?
Yeah, that's per month.
Per month, and how many months does he do that?
Well, the recommendation is a great question. So the recommendation for anybody intervening with Foundation Medical Nutrition with Youngevity is 90 days.
Okay,
90
so
days.
he should do that for 90 days.
Yeah, 3 months. Now, look, it might take 9 months for him to get on the other side of the enlarged heart. It might take 3 months. I have no idea. Everybody's different. But
okay, so how do we find out? Do we go to the doctors and have some kind of test? Or
yes, well, it's the same test that they did to tell you that the walls of the heart are thickening, right? So there's 2 things to do here and 2 things to understand.
Okay.
Number one, we need to have some type of objective measurement done at some time in the future. So if it were me, I would wait 6 months. And then I would go back to the MD's office and have them check to see whether the walls of my heart are less thick. That's what I would do. So they would do the same test that they just performed, right?
Okay.
Now, in the meantime, while you're waiting, those 6 months, you want your husband to look to see how he feels. His mood, his energy, his sleep, his appetite, his digestion, his weight, across the board, how he feels. Because specifically, this is not, an enlarged heart treatment program. This is a treatment for your husband. Right? It's a holistic medical nutrition intervention, and it will have far-reaching effects, ostensibly, in many different areas of his body. So, as he goes down the road, when he starts to feel better, his sleep gets better, his mood gets better, his energy gets better, his attitude gets better, his weight gets better, whatever improves, those are all hallmarks, subjective hallmarks, that the internal conditions, which we can only measure with objective means, are also improving. So this is what we counsel people. Give medical nutrition a try for 90 days, and inside of those 90 days, look for something remarkably positive to change. And when you get a remarkably positive change somewhere in your body, just maintain the discipline and measure, things effectively and prudently. If it were me, I would be, 6 months would be fine. Unless, of course, he starts getting, chest pains and horripilations and stuff like that. Of course, you need to be smart moving forward. But as long as he's symptom-free and improving a little bit every couple of weeks, then you're good to go. And those are, in fact, the hallmarks of a positive program. Now, so let me just give you a clue about the side effects of too much selenium. because you can overdose with selenium, but it's really, really hard. I mean, I've never seen anybody do it. I've read about it. If you start to take too much selenium, a number of things can happen. Your fingernails start to get brittle. Your hair will start to get dry, brittle, and or maybe start to fall out. And or your breath will start to get a fishy or garlicky odor to it. Now, if any of those things happen, that means you need to just back off of the selenium dose. So I would back off of the dose by 3 capsules a day, right? He'll be taking 12 capsules a day if you get 4 bottles. 4 with breakfast, 4 with lunch, 4 with dinner, and they're small caps. There's no problem doing that.
Okay.
So if any of those side effects of too much selenium happen, then he just withdraws 1 bottle of selenium a month, no harm and no foul, until those symptoms go away. And selenium toxicity would only be at play if he were to develop one of those symptoms and then continue to take that dose of selenium for 6 more months.
Okay, so it was dry?
Yeah, dry skin, dry hair, dry or brittle hair.
Hair, okay.
Dry or brittle fingernails.
Okay, fingernails.
A fishy or garlicky breath on a consistent basis, not after an Italian meal, right?
Okay.
And so that's it. And if you're just mindful of those things, then there's absolutely, positively no harm. And honestly, if he wants to be concerned about something, he needs to be much more concerned about having not enough selenium in his body than he needs to be concerned about possibly somehow getting too much. No kidding.
Okay, and what is the lack? Then it's just going to thicken more, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And, if he doesn't have enough selenium so that the walls of his heart are enlarging, then there are also a number of other nutrients that he doesn't have, and they're also producing net negative, effects on his body, which eventually will show up. And I bet if I was to sit him down and do a questionnaire, like how's your mood, how's your energy, how's your sleep, do you have aches and pains, do you have heartburn, do you get restless legs at night in bed, or whatever, I bet I could. So all of that are direct indications of chronic undiagnosed nutrient deficiencies, and we expect all of that to go away. We expect all of that to go away. And those things are, in fact, the hallmark of a successful nutrition intervention.
That's amazing.
It is amazing, and you won't believe it when you see it.
After the 6 months, and they say the thickening is either gone or it's less, does he continue on all that until it's completely gone?
Then you call us back. Then you call us back.
Completely go away.
No, then you call us back and we do a maintenance dose.
Will this thickening ever completely go away?
Yes, I've seen it go away all the time. I mean, they proved it in pre-World War II Germany. I mean, we see it happen on a regular basis.
Okay.
Now, he needs to be compliant with the program, right?
Okay.
He needs to stop eating the 10 bad foods. If he does the program, then I would expect a noticeable and measurable resolution within 6 months.
Okay.
So,
all right, Dr. Glidden. Thank you so much.
Well, you guys are the greatest, Robin. Keep up the good work down there. Appreciate your patience and your trust. How's your husband doing, Robin?
He's doing fine. We miss you here.
I know you guys miss me. How's your little son? How's he doing? Gary Ann.
Yeah, he miss you too. He's a senior now.
He is?
Yes, he is.
My, oh my, how time flies.
Well, thank you very much, because I want my husband.
Well, yeah, I know. I can understand that. Well, 1 week at a time here, and look for noticeable and measurable improvement, and that's what drives us forward. That's how we do it, folks. I think we have time for a couple more phone calls before we end up here. Let's go to Myrtle Beach and talk to Jim. Hey, Jim, thanks for hanging on. You are live. James, come on in, Jim. Myrtle Beach.
Hello, Jim. Hello, Doctor.
How are you, man?
Pretty good. I've got fellas that I want to talk to you about. One of them is 185 pounds, 65 years old, and 5 6 inches.
Yep.
His first problem is the AFibs. they wanting to put a pacemaker in him.
Yeah. Well, they're going to kill him.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to watch the webinar that I did on AFib. Because if you tell people what to do to support and promote healthy heartbeats, they're not going to believe you. But if they watch the webinar that I did, they may. And because it's the heart, people are less inclined to do anything outside of the box because it's their heart, and everybody's afraid of dying, and quite frankly, they've got it reversed. Because if they continue to go to the medical doctor, they're just going to get all the wrong advice, and they're going to be in more trouble than they are now. People need to listen to what we have to say about this particular condition. I did a really good webinar about this, right? It's available for insiders on my website. So I would check that out, email him a link to the website, to the webinar that I did. And, that's how I would handle that. But basically, we believe that this is caused by degenerative disc disease. And so the program here is to support and promote healthy bones and joints. He needs to go to a chiropractor. He needs to put some ice on this. But I lined the whole thing up in my webinar. All right. Do you have another question?
Yes, he also has IBS, irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So, of course, we believe that the operative root cause of that is consistent consumption of all the 10 bad foods, with special emphasis on wheat, barley, rye, and oats. So eliminate the 10 bad foods, add the root beer belly to his program, and if you want, you can also give 1 or 2 bottles of Mackie Plus a month, 1 or 2 bottles of Mackie Plus a month to try to help calm down things in
what is that product name?
The gut. MAQUI Plus.
Oh, Mackie.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks so much for spending 2 hours with me this afternoon. I hope you learned something. When you look up the root word of doctor in Latin, it translates to teacher. And I took a vow in 1991 as a naturopathic physician, which I take very seriously to help educate people. There are simple things that you need to know, simple steps that everybody can take right now, today, to dramatically increase your odds of increasing your body's ability to optimize its structure and function. And if you stick around with us long enough, you will hear testimonials that will bring you to tears. Let's finish up the show in Missouri with Darlene. Hey, Darlene, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hello, Dr. Glidden.
How are you? Thanks so much for calling.
I'm good. Thank you for doing what you're doing. We really appreciate you.
Well, you're welcome very much. Somebody's got to do it.
My situation, my son-in-law had an accident when he was a child, about 5-6 years old. He fell on his head, and he's found out that he's had pain in the shoulder and neck area for years. And he went to a naturopath, and he found out that his neck does not have the bend in it that's normal.
Yeah.
Would minerals help that?
Well, yeah, so there's a number of things going on here, right? Because remember, bones, every part of the body, everything in the body replaces and regenerates itself all of the time. The bones are no exception. Bones are regenerating themselves all of the time. So when anybody has had any type of trauma to any part of the body, in this case it was his musculoskeletal system, it is prudent to give his musculoskeletal system some nutritional support. So, he needs bone and joint support. That's not a bad idea. But the chiropractor should have advised him. Well, he went to see a naturopath, so I'm not sure that the naturopath would know this. But there are exercises that he can do, which over time will put the correct curve back in his neck. There are. I've done it. I used to have a funky curve, and now I have a good curve because I did the exercises correctly. So he needs to visit a chiropractor's office, a good chiropractor. And I love chiropractors, but let's be honest. Chiropractors are just like anybody else, right? It's like lawyers, like plumbers, like electricians, like carpenters. There's good ones and there's bad ones. So I would ask around town who's a good chiropractor. I would call their office and see if the chiropractor is knowledgeable about the therapy to put the correct curve in the neck back. It's simple exercises with a couple of adjustments, a couple times a month from a chiropractor. It's really not that difficult a thing to do, but it takes time. It might take 3 months, might take 6 months, but persistent effort over time really produces a lot of good results. And this would be a very good thing for him to fix, because everything in the body is connected, right? And if the top of the spine is straight, that's going to have ripple effects on the rest of the spine. And that's not going to be a good thing over time. Eventually, when he's 50 or 60 years old, he's going to start to develop some big, bad voodoo daddy problem somewhere else in his back. And the reason that it happened is because the curve in his neck was never fixed. So preventively, this is a really good thing to get on the other side of here, but you have to find a licensed medical professional who knows how to do it. So call around, find a chiropractor who can do it, and get him on board with the program. Now, in addition to this, Darlene, the recommendation, of course, is for bone and joint support, and I think the best way to do that is one Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid, one Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid, 2 bottles of selenium, and 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals per 100 pounds of body weight per month, plus 1 bottle of Cal Toddy. So that's 1 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid, 2 selenium, 1 plant-derived minerals per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and then on top of that, 1 bottle of Cal Toddy. Of course, eliminate the 10 bad foods. Appreciate you very much. Regretfully, we are out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, God willing and the creek don't rise, I'm back at it tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock Central Time. And tomorrow night, it's free. My anti-aging worldwide seminar. Go to the website now for details. Until we meet in person, I remain your steadfast advocate for health, Dr. Peter Glidden. Live long and prosper.